Morning. Sorry, we're just a tad bit late this morning, but it's all worth it. If you are interested in podcasting or have ever wondered if podcasting would be amazing for your business, then you are in the right place. We're going to be talking about podcasting for business specifically today. Is it something that would be beneficial for you, your niche, your niche, whichever way you want to pronounce it? That's going to be our focus today. So I'm super excited about this because a podcast is something that I've wanted to do forever. And I thought I had it. I was so there. I was going to, turn this Marketing That Grows Your Business show into a podcast, but it just never felt right still. And so I've changed my mind and I'm going to go a different direction, which I'll talk about that at another point in time. But as you guys are coming in, give me a shout out. Where in the world are you? And how are you this morning? Hey, Jenny. So yeah, I got a little bit of purple going on. You got to rep the brand, right? I did the red earlier. Y'all know, because you've seen me do the different colors. Good morning, Donna. And again, as you guys are coming in, just give me a shout out. Where are you in the world? I'll say hey if you've never been on one of my shows before. Just let me introduce myself, and I would love it if you would intro yourself. Just put hashtag new if you're new in the comments area so we can wave to you and say hey. So my name is Kim Garst. I'm an online monetization strategist, which basically just says I love helping people make money, primarily leveraging the power of social media and smart digital marketing strategies. So, hey, Kim, good to see you. We've got Christina in the house, New York City. Good morning. And we've got Texas in the house. Hey, Natalie. So, Natalie, I just met Natalie for the first time this weekend. We were in Miami together. So, you guys, she's such a blessing. I was in Miami. I'll just tell the story real quick. I had a friend come over from Australia, and she's going to be here for a couple of months. But when I say here in the States for a couple of months, and she was going to be in Miami. Well, I live in Florida. Well, I'm not in Florida right now, but normally I'm in Florida. So I was like, okay, I'll drive down to Miami and hang out with you. So it just so happened the hotel we were at, there was an event. Kelly Roach had her, I forgot the name of the event, but anyway, there was an event. So there was a lot of women entrepreneurs there that I knew. I knew most of the speakers, and I got to meet a lot of new people that I did not know before. So Natalie is one of those people. Super blessed by all the connections I made this past weekend. Okay, so we also have a birthday in the house. So and I want you guys to join me in wishing a happy birthday to my sweet friend, Paul Kirkpatrick. He has been in my community forever. So I'm just going to well, that's stinky. I was trying to sing happy birthday and it said, sorry, no, your sound is muted while you've got a video going. So anyway, we're just going to go with the happy birthday, Paul. I hope you have an amazing day. You certainly deserve it. Yes, so Chuck is joining me in the happy birthday wishes. Okay, so a couple of other quick things before I intro the guest and get busy with this topic that we're talking about today. We do giveaways on all of these shows, and today is no different. So if you want to win something, let me tell you what you're going to win first. So we have a couple of things we're giving away. The first one is this Be Happy t-shirt. If you want to walk around and encourage other people to be happy, then this is the shirt for you. So one Be Happy t-shirt and one Be Happy mouse pad. I don't know about you guys, but like my mouse pads get yucky, right? So maybe I need to win that. I'm just saying. Or maybe I just need to buy one, but anyway, my mouse pads always seem to get a little bit on the yucky side. So two prizes today, the Be Happy t-shirt and the Be Happy mouse pad. And how you win is by sharing those aha moments. See, I get my fingers wrong every time. If you have an aha moment, and an aha moment is like, I didn't know that, or I needed to hear that. Because let's be real, sometimes there's nothing new under the sun. It's just how somebody else presents it. And maybe we're ready for it in that moment. So share those aha moments down under, and we will put you in the wheel of wow. That's what we call it. And we'll spin that wheel at the end and pick our winners. One last quick thing. We love the love around here, and we love sharing great stuff. So if you know somebody that would get value from this topic, this conversation, then tag them, sprinkle it out into the world, whatever, because I think it will be incredibly a huge blessing for someone that is interested in podcasting. Or even if you're not yet, you've thought about it, but you're not quite sure if it's for you. Or in some cases, we learn something that we're like, I didn't think a podcast was for me, but maybe it is for me. So here we go. All right. So let me intro you guys to our special guest. I was introed to Ian from a friend. I've had a conversation with him about my podcast. He doesn't know yet because I haven't had a chance to tell him. He probably thinks I've dissed him, but about this whole shift in my podcast idea. But I had a lovely conversation with him. He's so incredibly knowledgeable. I was like, please come on my show and share your wisdom with us. So let me tell you a little bit more about him. He's the founder of Network Podcasting, the co-founder of Cigars. I hope I said that correctly. And host of The Damn Good. So he's a happy man, y'all. I'm just saying, right? He was introduced on entrepreneurship at 20 years old through network marketing and has a background working within tech sales for various startups. Now, you see that face right there, and you're probably thinking, okay, he started when he was 20. Well, how old is he now, right? So y'all put your hands together for Ian. Hey, Ian.
Hello. Welcome. I'm on Kim Garza's show. Wow, I've made it. I'm so grateful.
No, this is amazing to have you with us, and I'm excited about the topic. So, for those of us who might be slightly older, we look at your little face and we're like, how old is this dude? So how old are you, Ian?
First of all, you can't put slightly older and you in the same line. You are not that. I don't know who you're looking at. You must have a great skincare treatment.
I do have a great skincare program.
But anyways, I'm 29 years old and rock and rolling, and I'm based in Miami. So I hear you were in Miami. I'm like, girl, I could have give you the best brunch spot of your dreams.
Oh man, we are so going back. I have to tell you though, we saw some things. I saw more buns this weekend than I think I've ever seen in my life.
Were you in Miami Beach? Is that why?
Close. Yeah, the hotel was kind of close. I forget. The hotel was the Fontaine, I think. Is that right?
Yep.
Which is, I think, close. But yeah, we saw some things.
Yeah. Well, if you ever do visit Miami, when you go to Miami Beach, that's like a tourist deal. So you're going to see all sorts of booties, and it's going to be, it's a vibe, right? People go there to have fun.
Yes.
But I live in like Miami proper, if it's called, and it's a little bit less more business moving. And Miami is one of the top growing cities right now in the U.S. Yeah. A lot of tech entrepreneurs are leaving San Francisco and moving here in droves. So keep it in mind.
We're having that same dynamic happening in Tampa too. It's kind of, so many people are leaving high tax places, and that's a whole other conversation. Right. We're getting kind of off there, but still, yeah, Miami we had a lot of fun. We ate at Ola, I think which was a Peruvian place. It was amazing. Their desserts was incredible. I'll have to share I've got pictures, y'all. I'll share those later, but okay, so let's talk some podcasting. Okay, so I know this story, how you started a podcast and have rebranded it, but share how you got started with podcasting, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Again, thank you so much for coming on the show. Everyone that's tuning in, I appreciate you. Welcome. This is going to be a great day. Happy Monday. But yeah, why did I get into podcasting? So right off the bat, I think podcasting is going to be a complete life hack. And I say this, that I think everyone should have a podcast. Whether you take it seriously or not, everyone should have a podcast. So basically, the two main reasons I started my podcast were, number one, I was going through a tech startup in San Francisco called 500 Startups, where essentially I was connecting with all these amazing entrepreneurs that were starting their own businesses. And I started doing Facebook Lives with them. And I'd be like, hey, look, this is Sammy, the founder of X startup. And I would be like, Sammy, tell me your story. Because these people from all around the world, I was like, why do you do what you do? And then I realized the quality was kind of like bootleg, like it was a little janky, right? So I said, okay, what's this whole podcast deal? I saw Joe Rogan doing it. I don't know if you guys are a fan of Joe Rogan Experience. I'm a big fan. And I was like, I think this is the next wave. So I ultimately started a podcast for two reasons. Number one, I wanted to force myself to connect with outstanding individuals so I could increase my network and accelerate my own personal growth. And number two, in marketing, they say that if you want to pick a niche, you need to barrel down into one category, right? Like you hear it all the time, you get your 1,000 first customers, but if you're too multi-spread, it's hard to find those first 1,000 true customers. I'm into so many different things, from startups to scuba diving to rollerblading to cigars, which we're launching on the 24th, to podcasting. I don't know what my flavor is, right? So I looked at podcasting as a way for me to connect with the top 5 people in all of the different things I was interested in, build a connection and see it from their eyes. So hopefully I could be inspired to find my niche, but it turned into so much more. And I'll stop there because I can go forever on that topic.
So awesome. What a powerful, like, I'm absolutely in that same boat. I, I'm, I think I have ADHD. I think I'll get tested because I'm like all over the place all the time. Like, and I'm very easily like sidelined. So just all transparency. But I've been intrigued by podcasting forever. You know, the longer I waited, I'm like, is there still room for me? So that's my question. You know, there's so many podcasts out there now. Why podcasting, and why now for somebody that's might not know if there's still room for them? I'm just curious, is there still room for everybody? You said everybody should have one. So I'm assuming you believe this to be true, but talk about that
Yeah.
just a little bit if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's start off. There's a million social media accounts, and by million, there's like 6, right? There's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, right? Like these have been around forever. Yet everyone's still starting these accounts because they work. They've been around. People have been using them, right? They're tried and true methods. Same thing with podcasting. Whenever people say, "Oh, well, so many people are doing it," that's a great sign that maybe you should be doing it too. Like when I go to a restaurant and I always ask the waiter, like, what's your favorite thing that people order? They're like, it's the Eggs Benedict. I'm like, I'm going with the Eggs Benedict. It's tried and true. Podcasting, there's nothing like it. We live in a world of fluff. Everyone's just making stuff up. You go on the news, you don't know what you're reading. We live in a very polarized society. So that a lot of everything we do is scripted, right? And that scripted stuff isn't authentic. It's not real. It's not genuine. It doesn't feel like I'm just having a conversation with you, similar to like what we're doing right now. Podcasting is the ultimate form of expression. It's the ultimate form of me to you as a human, just being like, hey, look, this is me. And I'm just talking. I'm just telling you about me. So it's so powerful because you're able to essentially share long form content, be in people's ears, which, like, you know, Kim, you mentioned ADHD. We live in a generation of ding, 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 click, click, clicks. Who doesn't have ADHD? So you're competing for people's ears. In a podcast, you can be listened to in the car, on your morning commute. And the more time you can spend in somebody's ears, teaching them, talking with them, the more they're going to learn to like, trust, and respect you. And then from a business perspective, if you want to go that route, you can now market your products. So if you're like a coach or you're somebody that's a professional X and you don't have a podcast, you're missing out on a huge business opportunity to start building confidence with your listeners to ultimately purchase your services. Does that make sense, Kim?
It does. It so does. And we kind of had that conversation when we spoke the first time, how much, how big the opportunity still is. It's not diminished once. And I really feel like the whole audio opportunity, I mean, Clubhouse is as basically cemented that. All the socials are now starting to incorporate an audio component. Your podcast can be searched on Google, like hint, hint. So there's just so many like opportunities, I think, for content that is, people can consume, to your point, in those moments when, they don't necessarily want to watch something. They're in their car, they can't be paying attention to a video, or
Right.
they're out running or whatever. So the whole audio format, I think, is a powerful opportunity for so many of us. Um, so I wanted to take real quick a moment to highlight our sponsor. I want to give a big shout out to Restream. I know when we first got started this morning, we had just a tad bit of a technical issue, but it wasn't the tool. We were just kind of cray there. So I want to really highlight a few of the things that you can do with Restream. It is a desktop version or a desktop platform where you can stream to multiple social media channels at the same time. So right now we're live on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and even, yes, a few Facebook groups. They have a live studio that makes it easy for us to brand. So like you can see on the screen right now that my show is branded. I can bring up your all's comments as viewers. You can put customized text on the screen. But one of the things that I think when you're live streaming that's a concern for us is that if you worry about getting actual people to your live streams, Restream just rolled out a brand new feature called Pairs that allows others to stream your content onto their social channels. Talk about a great way to get into other people's communities, right? So it's just such a perfect platform. And I really believe the Pairs is going to be a game changer for live streaming. If you're interested in live streaming, Restream gives me and my peeps an amazing discount, 25% off for life. I've worked with many brands over the years, and they usually give me a discount, but it's not a lifetime discount. So if you're interested, we have all the details. We popped it in for you. Definitely check them out. Okay, so we talked a little bit about you talked about you feel that everybody should have a podcast. But can we dig into that a little bit more? Because, from a business perspective, a lot of my community are service providers, which AKA they're perfect for podcasting. But what niches that have you seen that have really thrived with a podcast?
Yeah, great question. Comedy is actually the top podcast niche. So if you look at comedy shows, like people like to laugh, right? The reason why Joe Rogan Experience is the #1 podcast in the world is he's learned to mix comedy with insights. So he brings on people like Elon Musk and big thinkers, and adds comedy with these crazy ideas and machine learning and AI and all this stuff. So you can be at one point laughing your face off, and the next point learning about how we're going to put microchips in our brains, and we're just like, what? What's going on with that? So that's like the biggest niche. The second biggest niche that we see that's really successful in terms of people growing their business is people that do coaching or people that sell products. So like in branding, Kim, you've created this amazing brand. Kim Gar's companies like Restream partner with you because they see that you have this great audience of teaching people how to do online marketing. Well, what the podcast game says is, hey, look, if you can share and become a thought leader on these subjects, we're going to reward you by essentially niching out to your audience. So if I go on to and you might say to me, well, Ian, I don't know what to talk about, right? You can go to Quora.com and just type in your topic or whatever you specialize in. If it's online marketing, network marketing, there's like a million things you can do. And then you just start making content, like 5 to 25 to an hour, content about that subject. You can even bring on a guest. All of a sudden, you start teaching people how to do it. Same thing that YouTube does, but it's just long form content. It's genuine. It's good vibes. It's good energy. It's like you hear the dog barking in the background and she's like, oh, I see you, girl. I feel you. You build that connection instead of it just being very scripted.
So true. So true. I think that content, especially even podcast content, needs to be like perfect, and that's not, again, it's about authenticity. I think it's about energy. And you talk comedy being so powerful. Like, where have you seen the marriage? Because I feel like we should be a board. Like, I'm not sure I vibe with it, but I feel like if you this, that it's going to be a game changer for you and your business. I call it edutainment, right? Where we're entertaining at the same time, or we're being funny, or we insert opportunities for laughter, or even sometimes for sadness. Emotions is really what really pulls people to anybody that's doing a really good job of marrying the two components, where they're making people laugh, but they're also delivering the goodies.
Yeah, I mean, that comes back to being human. It's a great question. It becomes back, first off, let's even start here. When you start your podcast, you're going to kind of suck at podcasting. Like, everyone has to remember that. Most people don't start because they're so concerned how people think about what they say or how they're going to sound, or, we're just all up in our heads thinking we're in the center of the world. But most people don't care about you. They care about themselves. And you need to just get out there and start, right? I used to be freaking out about doing these like live things, but now I just get out here because I've done it so long, where it's just, what up, y'all? I'm Ian, and y'all watching me right now. Let's see if I can help you out in some way, shape, or form. But when you add authenticity, everything changes. Like recently on the Damn Good Day show, I had a guest on that actually has, his name's DJ Hookie on Instagram. He's a quadruple amputee, meaning he's had both of his legs and arms amputated because of a really terrible disease called meningococcal. It's terrible. And I got him on the show, and we start talking about the emotions that goes through and like building a life when you're going through that type of pain, and you've had to essentially adapt to something that very few people in the world ever can say that they've had to figure out. When you talk through that, you get to learn what's going on in people's brains, and you build empathy. And empathy can aspire people to make moves and think differently. But back to your point, when you add emotion into conversations and you just are real, people want to hang out with you, right? Like, think about your best friends. Your best friends like you because you're real with them. Everyone's got like a 2 or 3 best friends where they tell everything to, like all their nasty stuff and all their fun stuff. Right? If you can build that to almost everybody, people will flood you. People will want to be around you. People want to buy things from you. People want to listen. It becomes captivating. But the big thing you have to say is you have to get started, and you have to just work on practicing. Over time, like if you look at my podcast, started out as Len Jones Party of Two and expand into the Damn Good Day show. Our first 5 episodes were whack, right? But now we're bringing on stars every single week. We have people like Brad Lee, Forbes Riley, and people are now asking me continuously to be on the show, and I have to say no, 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 no. First, in the beginning, it was me asking them. So over time, you build your brand, you practice your craft, and you're going to be able to have more engaging conversations.
So good. And I think that's true whether it's video or anything, even blog content is, people come back to you and to your blog over and over again because of the vibe you give off. Like, your vibe attracts your tribe. I've said that so often over the years. When it comes to, like, since we're talking, we kind of segued there to video / podcasting. A lot of people, and I'd love your opinion on this. Some people, not a lot, but some people do what they call a video podcast, where they do the video and then they strip the audio off of it. What has been your experience with that? Is that a viable play so that you can use it for both? You have 2 formats. I'm just curious as to your thoughts on that.
Yeah, great. So if you're petrified of doing video, right, then just do audio, right? Audio is better than nothing, in my opinion. And there are some really good podcasts that just do audio. So I think video's the play. Like, when you see me, you're like, yo, look at this kid with his long hair and his leaf in the back. Like, he's got a Damn Good Day shirt. Like, what up? Like, you get to see me and see my emotions. Like, I'm not sitting here like doing something behind the scenes y'all ain't aware. It builds much more trust and authenticity. And also it allows you to create better content that's shareable, in my opinion. Like, how many times are you scrolling through Instagram and you listen to just a voice clip? Like, you just don't really do that unless you're in the car. Besides that, if you can use video, back to your question, I highly recommend people do what you're talking about, which is you record your podcast with video and then you repurpose it. So we talked about how podcasting is long form content, and Paul asked, is 5 to 10 minutes of a podcast too short? No, not necessarily, not at all. But ideally, it's long form content, could be up to an hour, 30 minutes, whatever your flow is. And you create all this fantastic nuggets, right, about different subjects. Boom, 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 boom. And then you repurpose those little subjects, those little booms, into 5 to 10 minute clips or 3-minute clips. Because if you're on YouTube, we all have squirrel brains. Most of us aren't just going to watch a 60-minute YouTube video, but we'll watch 3 minutes here, 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 and here. That's why I think podcasting, it's not rocket science. We all make content today. Every one of us, we do Facebook, Instagram, all that. All podcasting is one giant long form content that can be snipped into all of this repurposable content for all of your platforms. So I like to think of it like the ocean, and it's the floodgate of different information, and then you can put it into different bottles and go from there. I just made that reference up. So,
but that's a good reference. So that's basically. I'll just give you a little tip that goes with what you just said, based on the fact that we've been doing this live show now for a year and a half. And what we found, we had this repurposing plan in place beforehand. And what we found was that the repurposed snippets didn't really work as well as we thought they would. So why? I was like, why? To your point, people are consuming those short snippets of content. So we started doing what I'm getting ready to demo to you guys. So hopefully this will help you if you decide you're going to do this yourselves. We started setting the guest up with like what I call YouTube style of content, like Aaron, or whatever the guest name is, Ian, in this case, Ian, can you share 3 ways, right? So in fact, I'm going to ask you a question in a moment that's like 3 ways to do whatever. And then we started, leveraging that because that's more like a clip on YouTube. So is it like a 3, they know they're going to get 3 things, in other words. And it's not like a big thing that they have to dig into. And that has absolutely worked. So in fact, I've got several questions that I'm going to ask Ian today. Hey, share 3 ways to do whatever, or is there 3 don'ts, or, whatever the question is. And that 3 factors, what I call it, has really, really worked. So maybe that'll work for you guys. We have some great questions that I want to pull in from the audience. I love that you answered the one from Paul, like what, and let's dig into that one just a little bit more, because I think people are scared about the length. What is your opinion when it comes to the length of a podcast?
I like my podcast is typically about an hour, just because it's more reasonable. I always bring a guest on my show, and I feel that to ask more for more than an hour of their time is a little bit unreasonable, especially when you're getting like all stars onto the show, right? People are busy. They don't have time to be on there for 90 minutes. Now, with that said, if it's your show, you do as much or as little as you want, right? If it's just you speaking, you could do as short as 10 minutes and you're fine. Like, that's totally okay. A podcast I really like is the Bigger Pockets podcast. They teach all about like real estate and stuff like that. They have all different varying lengths based on the conversation they're having. So my ideal is about 45 minutes to an hour, just because a lot of people don't really kind of get going until like 10, 15 minutes in. We all get like that. I'm like that too. Sometimes I'm just a little bit, the first 5 minutes, it's like weird being on camera, like to this day. But then once you get going in a conversation, you forget you're on a podcast. I feel like that's when like the good nuggets, the good juice, you start building confidence with your guest or even in yourself, and you start being more transparent and authentic. So to your question, it can be as short or as long as you'd like, but long form podcasting is more popular than short little video clips.
So good. Such great knowledge there. It's a great question too. And we have another question here, and I'm going to frame it up a little bit. Being asked, how do you make money with podcasting? So I'm going to do what I just shared with you guys from a perspective. Ian, can you give us 3 ways that you can make money with podcasting?
I love that. Yeah. So the big thing to think about podcasting and monetizing your podcast is you have to be really strategic. The most common way of people monetizing their podcast is what you would just think is like advertising, right? Am I going to have a brand come on? They're going to pay me. I'm going to shout them out, and then we're going to get some sort of revenue from that. Or like ads and things of that nature. Personally, I don't think that's the play, especially if you're a small podcast. The best way to make money podcasting is selling your own stuff, right? So, and this is a personal opinion. This is what I've seen work for clients: selling coaching, selling tools, selling strategies, selling actual stuff. Think about podcasting as a giant lead funnel of you building confidence in your audience. If I'm a dog trainer, it's a great example. I'm giving you free tips on how to train your dog, how to crate train. I'm like about to get a dog and I'm mad nervous about it. So I've been reading all these dog training resources, like how to crate train, how to properly walk on a leash. I'd have all this free content, but if you'd want me to walk you through step by step how to do this, then you could buy my master course or something along those lines. Those are the people that absolutely just crush it in podcasting, because it's, again, it's a lead funnel thing that people build like, trust, and respect. You've given out so much free stuff that eventually they're like, you know what, I want to go all in. So in terms of building 3 different strategies, the most popular is advertising, sponsorships, and then selling your own stuff.
So good. And I would like to really encourage, I'm just going to add one small other thing that I think is super powerful for podcasters is getting those people on your list. So, moving your viewers or your listeners to your list. One of the best people that I have seen do this effectively is Amy Porterfield. Amy is really genius with giving her audience something value-based that revolves around that particular podcast. It'll be a freebie of some sort where she, says, hey, go to amyporterfield.com/ whatever episode, right? And she'll have a landing page set up for that freebie, and then she gets her listeners on her list. I think that's an incredibly powerful opportunity for us to list build. And as we all know, the money's in the list.
Amen to that. And some people actually monetize their podcast by building enough value in it that eventually people subscribe, sort of like a Patreon account type deal. And those are super successful. Like there's this really awesome, what is it? I'm like looking up right now. I'm glad I have my computer. It's like Hardcore History with Dan Carlin. So he does this thing on Genghis Khan, and like basically he explains history in a fun way. Like imagine how boring history was back in the day. Well, this guy will like tell you all about the uprising of Genghis Khan and his triumph and really crazy, terrible things this guy did in his life, but in a digestible format in like 10 to 15 minutes. And he'll sell that episode, but he got people to believe in him by giving out a lot of free content where he explains a story of Spartans and Athens. So like that's another way of actually selling access to your audio like a movie, which I think is really cool.
Yes, definitely. And then we had another great question. Aaron asked, would you use video even without a guest? So if you just want to have a standalone, like that's one of the things that I think a lot of people that teach podcasting focus in on the front side. Do you want to be the only voice on the podcast? Do you want to do a guest interview kind of show? Or do you want to do a hybrid? So if you're just going to be sharing your own knowledge, how would you suggest that people do that from a video perspective?
I love it. I love doing the video straight up. I think it's the best. I think that you can always just not use the content. I think you should always record with video and then choose what you like and snip away. Generally speaking, I just think video is the strongest platform. I mean, like I'm building this giant YouTube channel because we're launching a company on the 24th called cigars.com. That's cigars with an S on the 24th, where we deliver hand-rolled premium cigars delivered right to your door. And I'm building this whole cigars channel, teaching people about everything with cigars. And I'm using video when I'm doing that, right? So think about when you do content, you want to create it in a way that's authentic. So if you record with video, you have the option. If you're just, again, only time you should ever do audio, in my opinion, is if you're just not into it. And that's okay. Like I've met people that are just like, nah, it's not going to happen. In that case, don't do video. Like, girl, get started. That's more important. And if audio makes you feel good, then get started. In the future, if you ever want to do video, you can always do video. It's up to you.
Yeah, I so agree. I think sometimes like I'm very comfortable now on video, but I didn't start out that way. And I'm very intrigued, honestly, by the whole just voice only because, and I'm just being lazy and transparent when I say this because it doesn't require me to have makeup or hair done, y'all. I mean, so if that's you, like you're worried, like I'm gonna have to get up every day and do my hair and my makeup or whatever, that you could just do audio. You could, I love what you said, and I really want to focus in on this, where pick and choose, pick and choose. If you record a video or record a podcast, that's also the video piece. You have both. You can choose to use it or you don't have to. I love that you said that. Okay. One of the questions that we had is about how you draw people to you. So I'm going to frame this because this is one of my questions. So I'm going to frame it up in the three factor that I call it. So can you give us 3 ways that you can get more viewers on your podcast?
I love these. It just puts you on the spot and says, send it. Number 1, consistency. The most successful people on the planet are consistent. Okay. So no matter what, unless you are just one of those people that has millions of followers and you already have a giant tribe that follows you, you have to be consistent. Meaning like when you start, you should expect that you're not going to get traction for 100 videos. Like when we launch our cigars podcast or cigars.com on the 24th, I know that I'm going to have to make at least 100 videos about all topics regarding cigars before I can expect to get 1,000 subscribers. Anything before that is juice and it's great. So you want to be able to be consistent. Number 2, you want to build like, trust, and respect with your audience. That could be in the form of building merch. Like we have the Damn Good Day show. So like essentially I sell these shirts, but I also give them away as giveaways. Right? Like you want to build people into the community. Like my friend Kim Olsen does the gold diggers. So it's like hashtag gold diggers. You want to get people into the community. And then number 3, you want people to be on the journey with you. Any way that you can allow people to join in, and it's not just about you, you create a movement, you will then have people follow you. But you need to bring people in. It's not the Ian show. It's everyone that practices Damn Good Day. My motto is it's a damn good day to have a damn good day. And now, because I've done this so long, people tag me on Instagram all day being like, this is a damn good day to have a damn good day. And they're rocking their shirt. And then people get more insights. So number 1, consistency. Number 2, you want to build a community. And number 3, you want to involve people. And then over time, it'll become something way bigger than anything you could imagine.
Yes. And honestly, that's how I got started back in the day. I didn't even know I was doing it, frankly. When I first got started on social media, it was just showing up and doing the work. I mean, there is no easy button. I know everybody thinks that there's an easy button and boom, I just do this one thing and I'm going to have massive success. There's a lot of things that go into this. And I love that you said, wow, I'm going to have to do 100 videos before I'm going to have my first 1,000 people, because that's probably realistic. Like be everywhere and do all the things, but do the work, because that's, again, you want to be found when somebody's searching for you, and that requires us to do the work. It can be, it can be tough. I think sometimes, and I want to say this, I think sometimes when you hear that from successful people, you're paralyzed by that because you're like, how in the world am I going to do that? Right? That's a lot of stuff. But you can do it, like, especially if you just nug it down, just put your head down and just keep after it.
And this is the big thing too, is like you mentioned, it is a lot of work. Like it is a lot of work. Anything in life that is something you're proud of is going to be a lot of work, right? But that's what makes being human so amazing, is that you actually can put effort in. And it's like a dog, right? If you're training your dog, the dog is out of its mind the first 6 months to a year. And then when it finally sits, you're so proud because you've seen it grow, right? When you see your child, hit his first home run, you're so proud because you remember how much work went into helping him get there or helping her get there. So it takes work. What's important is to have a community. And that's what you've done such a good job of building, this community of people that want to learn and grow their audience, grow their marketing, so that when you have those bad days, I can be like, hey, Kim, girl, I need to talk to you. Like, you need to have your community, your fam, people that keep you honest. So like for me, like Sky Cowan, she runs one of the largest health and wellness YouTube channels, like 300,000 subscribers. I talk to her weekly. The guys at Throttle, Evan and Rick Beckerman, over 1 million subscribers. They build cars and all sorts of really cool stuff. Anabolic Aliens, 500K subscribers. So the point is you want to have good people in your corner. Like my buddy Matt Dodge, he's a UFC sports agent, started his own agency. He's like my best friend out here, and I hang out with him because he's also doing it. So make sure you find some badass people you respect and you can collaborate with. Do you agree with that, Kim?
I do. And I think lots of times people think when they're first starting that, well, I don't know any of those kinds of people. But you don't necessarily have to have somebody that has like major street cred already. I'll just use that word. You just need somebody that has that's on the same road as you, has the same passion and the dreams that you have. Their business model could be totally different. Their type of business. You mentioned multiple people just now. Their businesses were all over the place. They were not like they weren't just like yours, right? But finding people who are passionate about what they do, collaborate and connect and stay, and even I will say this, I think a lot of times people think that the big people are out of their reach. The good big people have not forgotten where they came from.
100%.
And those people they always are looking for somebody behind them to reach their hand out to. So now that's not everybody. There are some people that get too big for the britches. That's a Southern saying. But a lot of people who get to a certain level of success are always looking for people to help. So it's just about finding good people, staying connected to people. I think that's powerful. I love that you said that. Okay, so let's assume somebody wants to have a guest show, bring on the people, right? Bring on, I know you said you started with, hustling to find your guest. Now your guests are coming your way because they want to be on your show. But I'm curious, like, what are, again, my three factor, what are 3 ways to get your guest when you're first getting started?
Yeah, great question. So first off, people love talking about themselves, okay? People love it. Successful people love talking about their success. Generally speaking, the human ego is massive, right? So if you can build a platform that helps share people's stories, you will never run out of guests to talk to. Let me remind you that. You will never run out of guests to talk to. And it doesn't mean that they have to have hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram. To be honest, some of my most successful subscribers were the people with 500 followers but had an amazing story. So it just, looking at someone's growth does not show the value of someone, right? That's why there's so much value out there for people that want to do it. So basically, I kind of lost that question a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
No, I just was saying, what are 3 ways that you can get guests on your show?
Got it.
You just
Perfect.
talked about one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's number 1. But number 2 is that you need to have a good outreach strategy. So it starts with having a good brand. So if you go to my podcast, my Instagram, Len Jones, LenJones, Len Jones, what do you see? Hopefully you see a succinct brand that features awesome guests, but it shows that I have my stuff together. If you build a brand, all of a sudden you're going to have a much better job and easier time getting guests on your show. Think about it. If someone reaches out to you and you're the first guest, they have nothing, you're going to be less excited to, go take out an hour of your time. But if you go to a brand of someone that, hey, this person takes themselves seriously, you're going to have an immensely easier time getting people on your show. And then the third thing is throwing Hail Marys. That's what it comes down to. You need to send outreach DMs. I would literally just DM people almost the same script, something along the lines of, hey, X, I really love what you're doing with this. I have a show. It's called The Damn Good Day Show. We feature amazing stories and high performers from all around the world. I would love to share some of the value that you share with your guests, with our audience. I think that you'll be able to do XXX. So I show what's in it for them. I compliment them, I edify them, and then I pitch them, right? I used to do that like 10 times a day before I would go to bed. It would take me 5 minutes. I would just find some Instagram profiles and just boop, boop. I call it throwing Hail Marys because you never know who's going to catch it. And then what happens is when you get a one or two guests on the show, I think this is how I appreciate it. I just try to make friends with guests. I don't try to sell anything. I just try to become friends with you because I think that if I can become friends with, this high performer, we're going to do cool stuff down the road, right? And that's what's happened. My network has blown up and expanded. And because of that, amazing opportunities have shown up into my life. So those are 3 tips. Build your brand, throw Hail Marys, right? And be consistent. Those were like the ultimate tips there.
I love that. I especially love that you talked about the brand because I really believe that that's the first touch point sometimes that people have with you. And yet so many of us don't really focus so much on that. Our messaging's way off, our website looks terrible. So I love that you talked about that. I know we're going to take just a few moments, and actually wanted to key in and talk a little bit about my experience as well before we ask where everybody can connect with you. And while we're choosing our guest, wanted to just say one thing real quick as it relates to finding good people. One of the ways that I have started to find amazing people to bring to you guys is I've started to look for energy. So when I first started, I wasn't doing that. And now I have started to do that because I personally love it when I can talk to somebody who is passionate and, has energy. And so I've been looking for energetic vibes lately when it comes to, inviting people and extending invitations. And have I delivered today, y'all? Ian has the vibe, right? He has some amazing energy. And that might not be that's something I've had to learn. That might not be necessarily what, is your vibe, because I do believe there is power in the stories. And that's one of the things I always lead with, even, is, okay, how'd you get started with this? But I think it's powerful to have people who bring it, bring that. And when you're talking voice only, when people can't see you, there is power in inflection of the voice, y'all. I met this girl over on Clubhouse. Her name was McCall, and I interviewed her here. I brought her on the show because as soon as she started speaking, you could hear her amazing vibe. It's just so powerful. Okay, so Ian, if somebody wants to connect with you, where is the best way? What makes the most sense? Is it Instagram? Is it going to your website? Is it sending you an email? What's the thing that you would like people to know as it relates to connecting with you?
Yeah, absolutely. And first off, Kim, I just want to say I appreciate so much for you having me on the show. I've been a big fan of you for a long time, ever since we got introduced, and I'm just astounded at how good your team is in terms of how you operate, how you put things together. I mean, you're such a good mentor and coach for so many people here. So great job building this brand. It's amazing. In terms of how you can follow me, I use Instagram the most. I just laugh at the story feature. I make ridiculous stories. So that's at Len Jones, LenJones. You can also follow on Facebook and all that stuff. If you have a podcast, we also, you can check out networkpodcasting.com. So we build, create, and launch people's podcasts for them, essentially take all the headache out of the podcast process so that you can just go and make content and share it with the world. You can check that out. And if you have any questions, just send us a DM. You can look up the Damn Good Day Show podcast. I put a lot of time and effort into it. Our team is outstanding. You can go on YouTube and watch live episodes, or you can subscribe through your favorite podcasting channel. That's the Damn Good Day Show. And with that said, it's a damn good day to have a damn good day, and I appreciate having on the show.
Yes, and it's a darn good day. So I struggle sometimes to say. Although I will say, I've laughed about this. Some of you guys know I've been taking care of my almost 97-year-old dad. And so I feel like I've started to curse a little bit, and which is not something I do. The other day I cursed in front of my 26-year-old son, and he visibly shuddered. I'm like, okay. So, because mom doesn't normally curse. So it was like, what happened here?
I mean, I don't even know if that's like considered a curse though. That's more
I
of like
know. No,
that's more of an
no.
exclamation point,
Yeah,
not a curse.
right. But normally I don't curse a lot. So, so, but anyway, and more importantly, I think it is a great day to say yes to starting your own podcast, right? You agree? Like,
Absolutely. Hey, if you
come
don't get started now, then when, you know?
exactly. And, I want to circle back real quick because for those of you who don't know the pieces and the parts, like okay, so like, well, how do I even go down this road? Can you just real quick again I know you have a brand that does this. So can you like talk about that just real quick? Like, I know that for people who want to go down this road, sometimes the tech pieces hang them up. So if all they want to do is sit down in front of their camera or their mic and create content, they're going to need you. So what do you do when it comes to like, do they just turn it over to you and then you create what for them?
Yeah, people get analysis paralysis when they start something because there's a lot of technical details, like this microphone. It's a powered microphone, meaning it needs a separate amp in order to run. This is the same microphone that you see on like Joe Rogan Experience or Logan Paul podcast. It's confusing, and most people don't want to deal with that stuff. Same thing with editing. Like if you make a podcast, you have to edit it. You have to pull up something like Adobe Premiere or iMovie, take the file, put it into the editing software, edit the audios, add the intros, all this stuff that there's a learning curve to it and people just don't want to do it. So we decided just to kind of take the headache out of all of that and create a full service platform that allows people to essentially all they have to do is record a file just like they're doing like now. We use Zoom a lot. Take that file, put it into a Google Drive. That's it. And then we create all sorts of content, Instagram, YouTube. We put it out on social media if you'd like. There's all sorts of different stuff. So the idea is that it's a soup to nuts just way of you record content, you do what you do, and then let us do all of the rest. And we have some podcasts that are in the top 50 in their entire niche worldwide that we produce. And it's been great. You get to connect with a lot of cool people. I'm a big fan of helping people share what they want. Oh, Kim, I can't hear you. I don't know if that's on
Yeah,
my
I turned my mic off because the dogs were barking. We talked about that before. I was like, well, let me just tone that down so we don't have that on the audio. I think that the tech overwhelm stops so many people in so many lanes when it comes to the things they can do in their business. That's one of the reasons I wanted to really highlight that, because we've told them they not only have we told everybody they could have a podcast, we told them they should have a podcast. So now, what's that next step? And maybe it's connecting with Ian and saying, hey, I know I want to do this, but I didn't know all the pieces. So I'm connecting y'all. I'm just saying.
I appreciate that.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today, Ian. And I want to thank all of you guys that are with us live and in the moment or on the replay or listening later. Thank you guys for your time. We know it's valuable when you spend time with us. We appreciate it. So take care of yourselves, stay safe, and God bless.